The Black in Appalachia Kingsport exhibit focuses on different organizations and institutions that were integral to the Black community in the city of Kingsport. One of the areas that it focuses on is the Douglas School and interprets the role of community center that schools often played in addition to serving educational capacities. The Kingsport exhibit talks about the origins of Black education in Kingsport with things like the Oklahoma School that predated the Douglas School, and how the Douglas School became a community center in the 21st century that serves the larger community. This provides a similar experience for what happened to the Langston School located in Johnson City.
So good morning, my name is Adam Dickson and I'm supervisor of the Langston Centre here in Johnson City.
Named after John Mercer Langston, the Langston School served area African American students and had a rich history as an educational institution.
Langston, what we know as Langston High School, 1893 to 1965, of course was the school for the African American population during that particular time period. A lot of folks don't realize that there were 3 schools for the Black population in Johnson City. So there was Dunbar, which was an elementary school, Dunbar Elementary. There was Douglas Elementary, and then from 7th grade up to 12th grade was Langston. And so I guess around the 20s or so, Langston became Langston High School. And so it served as the high school for the Black population up to 1965. And so Langston is named after John Mercer Langston, who was the first African American elected to Congress from the state of Virginia, and was also the first dean of Howard Law School. The school was founded by Dr. Hezekiah Hankel, and of course local legend here in Johnson City, Washington County. Being a physician, being a minister, also being the first African American elected to the then Johnson City Board of Mayor and Aldermen back in the 1870s during Reconstruction. He firmly believed that the quote-unquote colored children of Johnson City needed a school for their learning, growth, and development. And so November the 27th, 1893, the Johnson City Comet says that the colored children were at Thankful Baptist Church, when I'm pointing because it was in the direction of what's now Water Street, that they actually walked from Thankful Baptist Church up the hill to what is now the corner here of Myrtle, and to this piece of property, corner of Myrtle and Elm Street, and they marched up here to the new school.
Like many other schools and institutions, Langston also served as a community center for the local African American community.
So it's important to understand, I guess, when you think about Black life and the Black experience, so first off, I guess it's important to understand the Black experience, and then you also have to understand the notion of living within a racialized society, okay? You got to forgive me because I do teach on this. I didn't tell you, but I do teach on this. So there is a professor by the name of Michael Dawson who talks about the period after Reconstruction. And after Reconstruction, we're going to see a heightened sense of racial sentiment, in many cases racist sentiment. And Black communities are going to be distanced, and you're going to see what we call Jim Crow implemented. So we're going to see de jure segregation. As a result of de jure segregation, you're going to see entire communities developed as a result. Michael Dawson calls this the Black counterpublic. So you have white schools and you have Black schools. You have white churches, you have Black churches. If you have the American Bar Association, which is at that time white lawyers, you're going to have the National Bar Association, which is Black lawyers. So you're going to see literally 2 Americas develop as the result of Plessy versus Ferguson and de jure segregation. So now that's the context of a racialized society. So as a result, black people have to now think about how do we make lemonade out of the lemons. And so now within what we call the black community, the black neighborhood, you're going to see certain anchor institutions. That's going to be the church, and it'll be the school. As you see pseudoscience develop, and pseudoscience is going to say that black people are ignorant, backward, and they're just born that way, or that black people come from animals, that black people come from monkeys, etc. And you can just imagine, by the time you get to the 20s and you start talking about evolution, you can just imagine where black people are going to have some strong feelings about that, because the idea is that we're gorillas and apes. So anyway, so when you start thinking about the idea of pseudoscience, it's important to have anchor institutions that affirm you. And so in the spiritual realm, the church affirms you are a child of God, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. But the school is going to say you're just as sharp as anybody, you do have a mind, you can succeed, you can achieve. So when the society is looking down on you, these walls and the life within these walls are really, again, affirming, uplifting, and encouraging. So the school was very important. So fast forward to 2015, and water damage has impacted this space. Asbestos is in this space, and the thought is that the space should just be raised and moved on. The alumni were the first ones to say no, because again, this was the space that we were told we can do anything that we wanted to do. So the school was just more than bricks and mortar. The school for the black community is more than bricks and mortar. It was a place, again, of encouragement, uplift, and for a generation, it was a space where black people were told that you are a part of the American society.
The impact of Langston as a pillar of the black community is reflected in the efforts of its alumni, which helped spearhead the restoration efforts.
The alumni have been extremely active, and and that's exactly the way we want it, is that we always want to remember the history of Langston High School. We want to remember, we want to remember all the great stories. We want to hear the stories about the Golden Tigers, and we want to hear the stories about the High Steppers. We want to hear the stories about the different teachers. And just all of these great remembrances, we want that, and so we always want to respect the history of Langston High School. Now, I do need to say, as the Langston Centre, we are a multicultural institution. So, in a 21st century context, we're very cognizant of the fact that our friends, our neighbors, are Latinx, Muslim, Islam, folks of just various backgrounds, and so we want to respect, again, the variety of cultures that now make up our community. And so we do want to have that reflected here in the Langston Centre, but always respect the history of Langston High School.
The Langston Centre does not only preserve the past, it also focuses on the future. It continues to look ahead and find ways to keep serving the community.
So I do hope that we become a space for what I'm going to call community education. So I see that being a wide range of activities, Joe, where we learn, we grow, and hopefully be a better and stronger community. So whether it's introduction to Spanish or introduction to Swahili, which are classes we currently offer, would love to have an introduction to Japanese, learning different languages of the world. Or if it's conversations about race and how we can heal and how we can at least try to understand. If it is listening circles where we at least understand quote unquote diversity of thought and realize that we may disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable. I hope that we can be a space for community education. Now, we see that in a very broad sense in the fact that we're working with young people from 3rd grade up to 8th grade, and we employ these principles when we work with them. And so we also hope that we can work with adults. So we see this as being, again, lifelong learning. So I hope that the Langston Center can be a space for that. That's the beauty of these spaces, actually, Joe, is that these spaces were built to divide. They were built with segregation in mind, and so whether it's the Booker T School in Jonesboro or whether it's Langston here, we should be using these spaces and repurposing them to bring people together and unite. Feel free to contact us at 434-5785, 434-5785, and you can also email us at Langston Centre, CENTRE, Langston Centre at johnsoncitytn.org. We are on Facebook, so you can connect with us there.
The V.O. Dobbins Senior Complex in Kingsport, the McKinney Center in Jonesboro, the Langston Center in Johnson City. These are all institutions that excel at preserving the past while also continuing to actively serve the community going forward. They also serve as reminders of the importance of preserving a community's voice and its history, and allowing that voice to continue to be heard as we continue to push forward into the future. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Exhibit Extras. You can continue to find us here on the Chester Inn YouTube channel or online on Facebook.